Chances are that if you are in property management, if you've ever been to an event, you likely know Jonathan Cook. But here's what you don't know about him. Jonathan's job, while it has a very different title than I do, is essentially my same job. His job is to go out and make friends. And somebody who gets a job like that, such a dream job of just go be yourself in the market, knows a thing or two about building relationships and driving value for people. And here's what I have learned about relationship building. The biggest superpower in relationship building is storytelling. And Jonathan is a master of it. In this podcast, Jonathan and I are kind of like talking about when we first met and debating the merits of AI and relationship building and whatnot, but really it becomes this deep dive into storytelling and how to use story to build relationships that becomes very, very practical for anybody that's out there trying to be a connector of people like Jonathan is and how I like to portray myself as well. You're going to love this conversation with Jonathan about storytelling. Man, I can't wait for you to experience this. The magical, magnificent bard of property management, Jonathan Cook. Enjoy. Welcome to the Property Management Frame Breakers podcast. I'm your host, Pablo Gonzalez, and I am here to introduce you to the folks in the property management space that have broken the frame of what you may believe was possible. This podcast is presented by Vendoroo. It is your all-in-one AI solution for resolving your maintenance needs. Let's go. Jonathan Cook.
Yes.
The bard of the property management industry.
Very kind of you to say.
You came at me like a spider monkey.
Came at you, bro.
At Florida State Narco. Just like I'm sitting there, minding my business, getting full of appetizers, something I learned to do as a young man in Costco. And you came to the
meatballs.
anything that's free, I'll get full
Yeah,
off
I get
of.
you.
You came to the table and you're like, you like to have provocative opinions.
Yes, you do.
And I want to test your provocative opinions.
Yes.
And we went into it. Why don't you describe what happened there?
Well, so the provocative opinions are just kind of, I think that you make a point to be loud enough to say, hey, I think this, I don't know if I'm right, I don't know if I'm wrong, but here's an opinion. I would love someone to tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong, but I'm happy to die on this hill. You do a very good job of that. You call me the bard of the industry. I think you actually deserve that title more so than I do. You are happy to share your thoughts to everybody because you want to make people think about things. And now, honestly, your opinions on AI are not terribly far off from mine, but the angle that you approach the conversation seems to be one that most of this industry doesn't talk about much. And I think it's refreshing. There's a lot of property management experts in the NARPM crowd that have incredibly useful information, great ways to operate your business. There's a lot of investors that are happy to teach in this space. There's a lot of vendors that are happy to have a conversation about how things work. But the direction that you come at this from someone who has experienced property management as a client is something that I don't know that many people that really think about that perspective as much, which of course we should, right? That's who we're here to serve. And it's a way that when I read your book, I immediately was like, oh, this is not my perspective. This is a perspective that is not what lives in this brain and what a lot of other people that I talk to about, that we're saying the same thing back and forth to each other. It's not that the points are different. It really isn't.
Yeah, it's just nuanced.
It's nuanced.
Yeah,
it's coming at it from a different perspective and a different way to talk about efficiencies. Why aren't you doing it this way? Well, because that's not how property management has been doing it for 45 years. That's not how I was taught. Does that mean you're wrong? Or does that mean you're right? I haven't thought about it, is the answer that most people seem to have on their mind. And so I appreciate that you bring a voice that is really underserved in this industry. And you come at it from a tech perspective. You come at this from, I've found a revolution. I've found a moment in time that you don't always get to live through, a new internet almost.
New electricity.
a new electricity. Oh, we made it to the moon. It's like, it's that, AI is that big. And there's good AI, there's bad AI, it's used wrong, it's used right. That's a fully separate conversation than there are tools that we all know we can use these things for. And if your perspective on, I don't want to use these tools is because like, I don't want to give away my secret sauce, or there's this data that I don't want to let you have. It's like, are you here for you, or are you here for your client? Because the client is what keeps us all fed, right? So that is a perspective that we should serve more often. And I appreciate you bringing it to the industry.
Thank you. Right? Like, as I told you when I was actually about to hop on a train when we were talking about this.
Okay.
Something that I know you love, trains.
I do, I love trains, man.
And
train travel is just very comfortable. Let me be clear.
It is. As I was releasing that book at Florida State and Auburn, first of all, I was the moment I received that book in the mail, I was like, cool, selfie with me as an author. And then I was just like a ball of anxiety, waiting for the moment that I would give that book to someone and they would turn around and post on the internet, this freaking dude just posted like a bunch of blogs and marketing fluff, like not worth it. So when you came up to me and you're like, you've got Provocative's opinion on the industry, I want to challenge him, I'm going to read this book in a weekend and I'm going to do a review, I was like, oh God.
It took me 3 full days. It took me Monday. I had to finish through Monday.
Still very impressive, But that was literally like, okay, this is what I came here for, right? Like,
you did really good.
This is the moment. So just, you were the first person when we got on, and I got a text from you, and you're like, oh, I see that you have this different perspective, and it's valuable.
We got on a phone call for a good 30 minutes.
We got on a phone call about it because I was literally just like losing sleep over what is Jonathan going to say, because he's going to be the first person to review it, and this is my biggest fear. So really thank you for that. Really thank you for reading it and seeing it. I would love to talk about when you first approached me, because when I just want to set the record straight, right? Hey, speaking of my book with Jonathan here, have you gotten a free copy of my book? Listen, not a lot of people listen to this podcast. And if you are a listener of this podcast, I want to give you a personalized copy of my book for free. Just shoot me an email, pablo@bethestage.live, or connect with me on LinkedIn and let me know that you want a free copy of my book. I'm right now operationalizing, I was using the book really only at trade shows and stuff like that. But now I'm operationalizing it, how to send it to people without having to like drive to like FedEx and do it individually every single time. So if you want a free copy of my book, because you listen to this podcast, you're one of the tens of people that do, I want to send you one. I want to write you a note. So just shoot me an email, connect with me on LinkedIn, let me know who you are, and whatever else you want me to know about you, so I can write a personalized note, and I will. Oh, and your address, where should I mail this to? Duh. Yeah, I want to send you a copy of this book that I wrote. I think you're really, really going to like it. Okay, that's it. Back to Jonathan. Now is when we get into storytelling. Enjoy. Like, I'm not somebody that thrives on being controversial in any way.
No,
right.
I agree.
I don't even think like I thrive on being provocative. I thrive on being like interesting, and I thrive on making people feel empowered in a certain way.
I see that.
And I see, as you can see, most of that stuff in that book are conversations I'm having with other people that I'm running through my filter, that like my company's called Be the Stage, right? Like I believe in being the stage that promotes people's opinions. So when you said that to me, like I shuddered a little bit of just like, do I come across as like a blowhard influencer guy that's trying to cause controversy? Because there's never been anybody that I've like that. I don't respect those kinds of people. But then we engaged in this like really good conversation about what the limits of AR in the industry before you read the book.
Yeah.
And I would love to go back to when you approached me with those opinions. What were you thinking I was saying before you read the book?
This is a great question.
Yeah.
It seemed, from the outside perspective, from the social media influence, that your perspective was going to be AI is the answer to everything. AI is very cool. I'm bought into full AI. Everybody should AI everything that they can AI. Do it all. Do all the AI. AI is going to save the world. Yeah. And it still might actually. It might be the end of the world, but it might, who knows? But that voice is very counter to traditional property management values. The best local property manager is a relationship between human voices. And when, from the outside, with that, before reading the book, the way that you approach it is so congratulatory to AI. It's so, I'm excited about AI. Which I do understand it because it's, hey, you pros, y'all have got this relationship thing down, have more relationship with AI. And now that makes a lot of sense once you read the book. But before you read, your perspective, it sounds like, well, just, you don't need people, you need AI. Well, people are what do, this is a relationship industry, Pablo. Yeah. This is not a SFR, single family rentals, is not a transactional
it's a long term, baby.
Everything about this industry is relationship based. As vendors, I am a vendor as well. Spending time in giving back to this community doesn't often mean that like I'm worried about my KPI numbers. I have this many number of leads, and I've got to talk to this many people on this stage or whatever. It works differently than that. It's about time spent giving to this community and face-to-face interactions and that really human connection. And when you hear, as a relationships person, AI is taking over the world, I don't know about that. It can't do human interaction. It can't relate like I can relate.
Yeah.
But then you read the book and it's like, well, it's not supposed to. It's supposed to give you more of that, actually.
Yeah.
Let AI do all that. Numbers have to move from the screen to that screen.
The non-relational
sometimes.
stuff. Yeah.
Hey, somebody's got to hit that email send button. Somebody's got to connect these softwares that are mirrors to each other. They've got all of the same information, or at least the blanks for them, but somebody's got to port them over or whatever. There's so much space for AI. I wouldn't say I was anti-AI. I was very cautious towards utilization of AI for any creative endeavor for a long time. Because of, worries to how can a machine feel, and it can't. But having something that can do all of the pieces up to that, man, it takes so much of the time and the effort off of my hands, off of my activity board, to let the time that I work in my industry, with my friends, with my clients, with my customers, it gives me way more time to do this, which is what I believe to be the important part. So my initial thoughts were very anti-personnel. We're going to AI every aspect of your business. And that's not what you're saying. It seemed that way from a perspective of your content is always around AI, which it should be, actually. It should be. Y'all work with one of the most advanced AIs in our industry, and you have a perspective on it that unless you're working on AI every day, you probably don't get. Good, thank you for telling us all about this stuff. It's scary for people. We've all seen Terminator and shit, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, excuse me. I don't know if I can cuss. I don't want to. We've all seen Terminator. And so being worried about the machine takeover, as conspiratorial crazy as that may be, and it is, that's not actually the worry. The worry is just like devaluing people, which was the worry.
Yeah.
And it's very clear after reading your book that is not the perspective in any way, shape, or form.
It's for sure. It's so interesting, man, because I think you and I are very similar type of people. Right, like I'm the furthest thing from like a technology guy that you can imagine. I'm extremely intimidated by technology. I'm extremely motivated by people, right? Like I was feeling terrible coming to this conference, one day of conference, and I'm like, right? It can cure anything inside of me.
I get my energy from all of these friends that surround us.
Yeah. And you and I really have gotten to a point in our career where we can both say we get paid to be ourselves, and being ourselves means connecting to people, adding value to people, making friends, like just being like outrageously authentic.
Golly, can I say that was, it took really real conversations with you. There is and I know that I have this too. I know that there's a social media image of Jonathan Cook that some people know, and probably more people know that version of me than know sitting down with me and hanging out and having a good time.
The 3 people that haven't done that yet.
There's some more than that probably.
In the world.
At least. Yeah. I mean, there's people. There's whole tribes or something. But my point is, like the first, you and I, because we're both bards, we're both entertaining.
Storytellers, entertainers.
And so because of what our natural personalities are, you end up with a group of people that you're somewhat entertaining.
Yeah.
I have a group of people that I'm somewhat entertaining. And I'm not even leading the conversation. I'm just providing the laughs along with the person who's an actual expert. I'm just the silly guy, the fun guy.
I'm very familiar with his role.
It's a great role. but so we never really got to spend time together because we're both hosting.
Yeah.
We both spend our time making people comfortable. And that doesn't give us a lot of time to really interact until we did.
Until we did.
Until we did. And I was like, oh, this is one of the most genuine people I've ever met. Genuine people that are authentic are rare.
Agreed.
And a lot of people that act like us are putting on a show.
Agreed.
Because you have to. Part of it is putting on a show. To gather the crowd, to get the group, to get the people to listen to whatever your technical person is going to walk you through. Because ones and zeros or something. Spreadsheets, connect them. Somebody's got to know how that works. But that person probably isn't the most entertaining. I'm going to grab a group of people and we're going to talk about why these numbers work on the spreadsheet and why that's important. That's probably not entertaining to listen to. So somebody has to be the guy that's everybody's friend at least. The guy that everybody trusts, the guy that everybody's really excited to spend time with. And so our paths just dodged. In this,
like two positive ions.
It's exactly what happened. So we had the night at the gastropub, which will live on in eternity.
Will live on. Buddy, I have never been more impressed by somebody improving a story in a way that just for a friend that is listening to this, and I want to move this away from like how awesome we are and move into like showing some value here.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I do want to say that my love language is being made fun of, and human beings connect with story. And you were able to. We're sitting at this gastropub. Nick was like, "Hey, what's everybody's superpower here?" And we just happened to be with like you, Scott, and Nick, who are Dungeons and Dragons. No, but Dungeons and Dragons nerds, and Justin and me, which we're not Dungeons and Dragons nerds. And you guys were explaining to us how this like what a deciding someone's superpower ties into like how you play Dungeons and Dragons. And you talked about being a character of a bard. And you're like, let me give you an example. And you went on this story that started dissecting my personality traits and the things that I do as deciding whether I was a good wizard or an evil wizard, all the way to the point where you just like, it was like a flower that you just like picked every single petal and you left it completely bare. And all of it was like so tastefully incisive. and then you left it without it, and then you left it without an ending in a way that, man, it was just like, I've never been more impressed by like a moment like that is the way to impress me to the max. That was a top 10 moment of those in my life.
You said we were going to get to adding value. This does add value.
Because I want to get into. I want to take a bridge into how you approach storytelling as a means for connection.
That is it.
Yeah, that's where I want to go, right?
So Dr. Jordan Peterson has written several things that are good and several things that are less good.
Yeah, there's some things that people don't agree with.
One of the things, there's lots. But one of the things that I actually really agree with him on is like role characterization and like
archetypes.
Archetypes really, as silly in some ways as they are, it's not about, am I a wizard? Am I a paladin? Am I a whatever?
Warlock.
A warlock, sure. But it is a good way to like recognize like where is this person getting their powers? What are their skills? Their skills are their powers. In fantasy, whatever. Like what are the tools that they're using? Are they using charisma to be influential?
What fuels their powers?
Absolutely. So a wizard, a typical wizard, is somebody that's incredibly smart, the smartest person in the room. That's really hard to be. It's really hard to be the smartest person in any of these rooms. Being the smartest person is hard, but the problem of being the smartest person is you don't have charisma stats. Charisma is usually not a thing that you can afford to spend time learning to do. You can't, if you're really smart and you understand the intricacies of AI, for example, you understand how to make it, talk like this and not interrupt a caller and deal with the static of people's signals and like the real things that makes it actually useful as opposed to a cool little gadget that we all pretend that we use. Like to make it a real product, someone has to be smart enough to do that. That is not everybody. It's not someone, and that smart person, very smart wizard, can make the magic of AI operate for people. But someone then has to go and let people know that exists, and that has to be someone with charisma or the wisdom to see what's going to happen in the future, or the perseverance and the constitution to last through the naysayers. Those are all different things that we all have in a degree. Intelligence and charisma and constitution and whatever.
I think Gen Z calls it Riz.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. They do. I have some of those children. And this is the deal. You can look at people and assess for a general idea. Of course, I don't know everybody. I don't look at people like a stat block, but you can look at people in your company, tools and systems here at a conference as what can I use? Be self-referential and assess yourself. Where am I getting my power? What am I best at? It's like the idea of discussing what a unique selling proposition is.
Yeah.
If you've heard Jeremy Pound and Jen Merritt discuss a sales foundations, one of the most groundbreaking things that they can teach you, and they're incredible at this, is understanding your unique selling proposition. It's more important than any version of this is how you do outbound, this is how you take in leads. Because a unique selling proposition is going to tell you your superpower, right?
Yeah.
Once you understand your company's superpower, well, now I can fill in the gaps. You build it like all of it has to work.
Yeah.
You can't just have one superpower.
Yeah.
You got to have a team. The Avengers are not just
100%,
one person.
100%.
You've got to fill in your gaps. And so when I'm talking about adding value here, what we are doing in that story, what we're doing in connecting these silly superpowers.
Yeah. What I'm hearing from you is, I feel like, have you ever talked to Pete Newbig for more than 2 seconds?
I love Pete Newbig.
Does he not bring up disc profiles in every single sentence?
Yes.
Right? So this idea of an archetype, of a disc profile.
We're all using some version of this, whether it is disc or whether it is, I'm a debater in, I don't remember it, but there's multiple different personality
People are like the
structures.
INTGR or whatever.
Every version of one of that's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing.
Hey, that is what we're talking about.
That's what we're doing.
Exactly the idea.
That's what we're doing.
There's power in that.
Yeah, there's power in that, and there is, when you adopt this idea, I think I owe a lot of what I think my success is in everything, right? Because at the end of the day, I think all my success comes from my ability to like help people feel like they belong around me. Comes from having moved around 3 different continents before I was 10 years old, knowing the feeling of an outsider, knowing the belonging, and seeing the world from what's really changed my results has been to communicate to people in terms of their priorities.
Yeah.
Right? And what you're saying is essentially like, if you can figure out where someone gets their superpower, and you can become fuel to someone's superpower, then people feel a certain way around you, and that leads to great relationships.
Yes,
it leads to open doors. It leads to access. It leads to being a person of value. And your ability to have like, figured me out. And then improv storytelling, right? Like that. I want to get into storytelling in a second, but that's where I think the value is. The value is like your very nuanced, unique observations of like, is this guy good or evil, was very real to me. Like my shadow really is Rasputin. I know that. I know that if I wanted to be a real son of a bitch, that's who I would be.
Well, so with every power, like great power comes great responsibility. Peter Parker style. If you are the most charismatic person in any room, you can take the thought process. If you become and we're going to use cult leader as an example.
You can be a good cult leader or a bad cult leader.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
Oh my gosh, yes, of course. When you grab a group of people's attention and they are like, this guy really gets it, and he connected to me, and maybe he connected to me through the fact that he made me feel welcome. Maybe he connected to me from the fact that he saw me walking around and nobody was coming to say, hey, he always made me feel welcome. So whatever he says, I back him regardless. And you can take that responsibility and you can wield it for the greater good. You absolutely can. And a rising tide raises all ships. There's really good versions of that. But what is easier is to be a bad guy. Villainy is easy. My God, I've got 60 people that'll essentially do whatever I say. Guess what? I'm going to go
manipulate it in my own best interest instead of the interest of the whole.
It's very easy.
What I want to ask you is the skill set of identifying that superpower. How do you refine that, right? Like, I'm sure some of it is natural, right? Like, you give LeBron James a basketball, you give me a basketball, we can work for the next 40 years. LeBron James is going to have a much better outcome. So he's
a little taller.
He's got a little more dense muscle fiber.
Some.
So, but you clearly have an innate ability of observation, which precedes your ability to storytell. And I assume that as you have refined this skill set and realized that it's worked for you, there's got to be some stuff that you know where you get your observations on, or moments where you like pull out these things that you can use as insights. Do you have any of that you have ever shared with people in a way that, or I don't care if you've shared it before, share it with me right now.
Okay. So At a really young age, it was very important for my parents that I read a lot. And reading provides a different perspective than watching the movie version of a thing.
Yeah.
Because when a character does something that may be sneaky or maybe has some sort of undertones, when you're watching it in a movie, it just happens. And maybe you pick up on it, maybe you don't. But if you're reading that in a story that is written, it must be explained.
Yeah.
And if you read enough, which I've read a lot of things, it's what I like to do, you get how Oscar Wilde would describe somebody doing something that is untoward and what it means for somebody to look at someone and smile with their eyes, but really, like in their heart, they've done this thing.
This is something that I envy from readers, right? Like I didn't start reading until audio became a thing. But people that have read a lot of fiction books, you start to understand world building and character building and what those pieces are.
So this goes back to that, like the hierarchies and the structure of like, what is this character?
Yeah.
You can identify characters in every story. I look at every interaction that I'm having, every event as its own contained story.
Okay.
And now I'm in my story, you're in your story, our stories can connect. Now I'm the hero of my own story. We all are.
Clearly.
Well, we all are. We all should be.
Yeah.
But I am a lot of people's side character.
Yeah.
And recognizing what is the role that you're playing in this other person's story. And if you look at it as roles as opposed to like only my story matters. Recognizing that other people have fully separate stories. And then when you're thinking in how story structure works, if you read a lot, Joseph Campbell will teach you about it. It's really easy to see what their story might be missing, especially from an outside perspective. If you observe for a short period of time and you see someone walking around a trade show floor and they've got brochures all over their arms and they're looking at every vendor, if they don't recognize second nature somehow, like you go, oh, you're new here. You're new here. Can we talk, how
so
can
the value I can bring to you is like catch them up to understand.
Let me introduce you to the people that you probably should know and learn from. You find somebody that walks to the trade show and is walking at a beeline and is ignoring all the cool things around him. Second Nature's throwing a party in a booth. Phil Owen is making matcha in front
while doing magic.
And you ignore all that and you beeline towards this guy is looking for this. He has been informed, he's looking for one thing. And because if you observe it and you recognize what's happening, you can see where in the story you want to be. You can always be a villain. You can always be a villain. But it's a little bit selfless to go and be the wise sage that isn't going to be the hero, but is just going to point you in the right direction, even if it benefits me or not. And I always look to be a person that is helping someone else along their journey.
I love that. I love that frame that you just put on it. It's very, I think for me, I had the aha moment of like, oh, relationships come from adding value to people. It was probably circa 2011. I was probably about like 31, 32 when I was just like in a group of people and I was on the board of a charity and I was meeting with the other board of directors. And all of a sudden I'm like, this guy does not care about my Ace Ventura bachelor party shtick at all. So how do I belong here? And I was sitting next to my friend Oscar Lopez, and Oscar, as a commercial banker, he was just very well ingrained into like, so tell me about your business. And like he's looking for problems and how he can add value. I had the aha moment. And now I think post-internet proliferation, I think people know add value to build relationships. What's new for me here of what you're talking about is how do you add value within construct of a greater story, within greater context, now becomes way more effective. Right? Because what's valuable to me might not be valuable to you.
Absolutely.
But if I'm hearing you correctly, when I think of a story, I think of character, context, conflict, big idea, resolution.
Absolutely.
Right? That's the base of a story.
It's the story circle. It's Joseph Campbell's concept broken down really into like a quick nutshell idea.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Completely.
And what I'm hearing you say is, for me, like when I'm in a room, I look for the person that's like walking around, pretending like they're going somewhere, but they've made the same loop multiple times. And I'm like, I know I can add value to this person because there's nothing more lonely than being in a room full of people and feeling alone.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
man.
And you introduce yourself, and all of a sudden, like, boom, you've made that person's day, and that compounds over time.
Yeah.
But I just knew that as like one pitch, right? Like my Randy Johnson slider. I never thought of it as like, oh, okay, this is actually an arc.
Yeah.
This is the conflict that they're facing. They walked into a room. They're in a new context. The conflict is that they don't know anybody. What's the big thing that could change there? And like, how do you insert into that? So I guess what I'm asking you is, are you doing that? Are you like, this is the context, this is the character, here is the conflict. So how can I insert into the conflict to add value with a big idea and a resolution or something like that?
It's gonna sound real nerdy, and that's okay.
I'm into it.
Anybody that knows me well enough, that he knows that I'm incredibly nerdy, and I'm happy about it.
We just started with Dungeons and Dragons.
It's okay. We started where we started.
Yeah.
I legitimately look at kind of every moment that way.
Interesting.
I live my life based on what stories are going on around me. My story is often the least important story here. I became a dad very young and instantly became a side character. Instantly became a side character. My kids are the main story, not me.
Yeah.
And so it's really easy to serve that way. I've been in a lot of companies to where I was not the face of the company. I'm not the head of my company. I'm not in charge of all the things. I play regularly in my real everyday life a level of support for an idea that is greater than me. That I am not the one leading the charge. I'm not the one that the book is written about.
Yeah.
I'm the character that helped get the thing going, that helped gather the troops, that helped give the inspirational speech.
The Paul Revere, if we're talking about the tipping point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's something that I recognize that it's not about me. It's about others. And it seems to be, it's always seemed to me that if all you're looking to be is the main character, then you have to beat everybody.
Yes.
It's you against everyone.
Yeah.
If you are happy being a side character, a support role, well, then you're on everybody's team.
The way I've said that is I'd much rather be a kingmaker than a king. If you're trying to be king, every king needs to kill you. If you show up as a kingmaker, everybody that wants to be king wants to be your friend.
Yeah.
And that's something, it's why I call my company Be the Stage, blah, 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 blah. If I'm listening to this podcast right now and or watching on YouTube, because let's face it, face guys over here.
That's right.
The takeaway so far is like, one is this idea that AI is not destroying relationships. AI is going to put you in a relationship building mode. The next takeaway is this idea of if you can place people as a character inside of a story and serve that story, this is the secret sauce that has made you and I very successful. The third place that I would like to go that I think is tangential to these is when we talk about the future of property management and AI, and if we can agree that AI can automate the mundane,
absolutely,
take the noise away so that you can be in full relationship building mode. I believe that there's a chapter in the book, right?
Of
like
course.
the future org chart, the trust
Absolutely.
chart instead of the task chart, right? Like I think that if I was a property manager today, I would want to hire a Jonathan or a Pablo, right? Like somebody that is a community builder that's out there going to charity events, going to like networking events, and being a chief executive connector kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Like a chief evangelist, whatever you want to call it.
Ambassador.
Ambassador.
I
know that's your word.
We'll talk to Mark Brower.
Talk to Mark Brower about it. How do you know? You know the space much more than I do.
Okay.
Does anybody have a role like that? Like I think Mark Cunningham is that for his company.
Great.
Yeah,
that's good.
Has anybody? How far are we from that becoming an actual role in property management? Because right now it only happens in like big venture-backed SaaS.
Yeah.
Like they get it, right?
I think that's kind of your role of your BDM. I mean, that's what your BDM should be doing.
Yeah.
Your BDM so we're talking story, the story of a person. Hey, you're building a business. It's the story of your business. Someone's got to be the storyteller of your business. That's what a BDM's job is.
Somebody needs to place. So I will refine that.
Go for it.
Somebody needs to think of the story of the business and build roles for people in that story from outside the business.
Because you've got to let people that don't understand what's happening, you've got to relate to them.
Yeah.
You've got to put it on their level.
Yeah.
An accidental landlord, a person who's worked in the oil industry in Texas, let's say, that hey, they were an engineer, they lived in the same suburban house for the last 35 years, and their kids moved off to college, and now they want to downsize and move to Florida because, it's just prettier, the sands are different, or whatever it might be.
I mean, because Florida, bro.
Because Florida, bro. Whatever that case might be.
Yeah.
That homeowner that is now going to be a landlord client of somebody doesn't understand why it matters that you have Appfolio versus Propertyware.
Yeah.
Doesn't understand why you use Lead Simple instead of HubSpot or, Aptly instead of, whatever. I mean, like, that's not impressive to them because you might as well be speaking to them and I have these magic spells. Look at my spell cards. Look at these cool gadgets that I wield.
Potions and gecko tails.
Yeah, like to them, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You have to relate to me. You have to tell me a story that's going to let me trust you with the largest investment that I've ever made.
Yeah.
This home that my kids grew up in. Tell me the story of why you need to run this business that I own. Tell me the story that lets me trust you enough that I go, oh, here's these keys to this house.
Yeah.
Keep it in good shape for me, help make it profitable, and you can make the profit that I don't, get, depending on what your contract is written as. Of course, you can have some of this success too, but it's my business in a way.
Yeah.
And there's one way to say that, which is you turn the keys over to me and you never ask me anything else, and I'm driving from here on, and shut up and don't ask me anything. And like, I'll tell you what, like the people that do that, the clients that want that, dang, that
does
really
serve a specific kind
it
of
really
client.
does.
Yeah.
But what I've found is most owners aren't that person. Most owners are concerned because you haven't told them the story that lets them trust you pick the vendor.
Yeah.
Hey, did you vet this tenant well enough?
Yeah.
Did you look at their car?
Yeah.
Well, that violates fair housing. You didn't tell that story well enough. We have these systems that can do. You didn't explain your spells, man.
Yeah.
You cast a bunch of magic and you didn't explain it to anybody.
So BDM going from X to storyteller that can get somebody to like buying on a story. What is the from? Like, what are people right now hiring BDMs for? And what do they need to hire them for? Like what is what are we looking for? What archetype are we right now thinking is the BDM? And what archetype needs to be the future BDM? Like, how would you, if you're advising me to build my BDM?
I think people think that they are looking for bards because bards are charismatic on the surface, exclusively good at putting words together. They're very showy. There's entertainment factor there. Entertainment is good, absolutely. My God, it's what gets people's attention. But there's not necessarily a belief behind that. There's the idea in D&D that a bard uses charisma to cast magic. There's the other idea that is a paladin. A paladin gains its ability to function and perform miracles based on their oath of whatever they've set. I believe in this thing so hard that magic happens around me. I believe in this, whatever this is. I believe in this business. I believe in this idea, this mission statement. And I believe in it so hard that I can't help but for magic to happen around me. And so when you're looking for someone that's just showy and quick and good at words, maybe they can learn your script, but it's only going to be as good as you wrote that script. It's only going to be as good as what you told them about. Now, if you can make someone a true believer, an evangelist for your product, that evangelist buy-in is so powerful. For being able to tell the story, because that's what you want. You want someone to believe so much that they're telling their version of the story. Because the person that believes in the story tells it significantly more convincingly than a person who is good at reading your story.
I was just talking to Reza about this. Of, hey man, like, this has been, our event program at Vendoroo has been very successful.
Incredible. Y'all do an incredible job for this community. You really do.
Thanks, man.
Y'all bring a lot of like excitement around technology that is scary, but y'all are a really good ambassador to this, to NARPM. I appreciate what y'all do.
I accept that. Thank you, man. And what I was telling him is like, hey, we've hired a bunch of salespeople over the last year, as growing companies tend to do. And, the aha moment that I had in this last event season was when you send me a sales guy to be at an event with us for the first time, something turns on for them. They get it, right? And what they get is the difference between essentially pushing into people versus drawing them in.
Yep.
And that comes from what they get is this story that we're telling, right? So like we have, like Sam is outside, and literally I was just talking to him about it. I'm like, all right, guys, when you are giving this book to somebody, what are you saying to them? And he's like, oh, like we're saying like this is about AI, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, listen, dude, the story that we're telling is this, right? Like we understand that, what we figured out in this book, what I figured out in this book is that property managers, the market has told them that they're not good enough, right?
Yeah.
Owners,
Yeah.
right? And they do that, and they do exactly
Yes.
that, and they do exactly that. And they're like, yeah, okay, and they have their attention. Like they want more control, they want faster responses, they want quicker resolutions to things, and what they don't understand is that what you're already doing is so complex that if you step out to like give them this thing that they're like having a hissy fit about, you risk dying by 1,000 paper cuts and not even satisfying that client themselves. And right there, they're like, yes.
Absolutely.
Right? And you're like, so, and then we blame it on the old tools, and we talk about like this idea that AI is right now showing us like a real progress, and we engage them in a story, right?
Yeah.
And he did it yesterday, and it just freaking like, boom, it was night and day. And this idea of convincing business owners, property managers right now, I'm talking to property managers, of the power of writing a story that your business is living in, right? Kind of like these story, right? You hear about story brand. I'm a big believer in category design. To me, it's a point of view narrative of how the world is right now, the problems with the world, how the world is changing, and how that change can either make the problem way worse, or because it's changing, maybe we can now do something new that takes away all these problems from before, and this is what the future looks like.
Absolutely.
Right? To me,
if you don't know what that story looks like, if you don't know how that story ends, if you can't plan where you want that story to go, oh my God, how scared are you right now? How terrified are you?
It's tough, man.
I don't know where this story is going. Must be a terrifying position to be in.
And in a business that is so commoditized and so like beaten down upon already by your customer base, property management, like, this idea of niching into, you're right, like people talk about niching, whatever, like it's kind of like a scary word for businesses, I think.
Of course it is.
And it's almost like an overused trope, right? But like
it is, yeah.
But it's
niche
really
down.
Yeah,
We've all read
niching down, right? Like, but it's this like inserting yourself as the thing, like understanding what the context is, going back to like our initial conversation, understanding the context of your client, understanding their quest and their problem that's bringing up, and like inserting yourself as the lightsaber as to the thing that they most are like worried about, that they care about in this context change. That really, really solves the why now. And that can be the basis of your whole marketing and your whole business development piece, and the reason why you can then recruit a Jonathan or a Pablo. So like, it's like there's very few people out there that can write the story and then go live it like you and I, right?
It's hard. It's a lot of work.
But as a business owner, I really do think that like the number one thing that you can do is like get really, really clear on that story, because it then infuses life into everything. There is nothing that'll increase your close rate like confidence in what you are selling.
Oh my God, confidence
like belief,
means so much.
Right? Like it's belief, man. So I just love that
I fully believe that my entire lack of shame has served me incredibly well, because it does give me a level of confidence that I believe what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, there are things that I've sold that I didn't believe in as much, and it didn't sell as well.
Yeah.
For certain.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to pretend to believe in something that you don't. Belief isn't actually a choice.
Yeah.
From what I can find, belief tends to be innate.
Yeah.
I've discovered a thing. I've looked at these pieces. This seems to work like this. This seems to work like this. And from all evidence that I've received, this is my belief based on that.
Yeah.
You don't get to pick those.
Yeah.
They kind of come to you. And so if you don't believe in your company, if you don't believe that you're any different than your competitor, well then shit, you're not.
Yeah.
You're not. You've got to know what it is that makes you unique. You've got to know what your strengths are. You've got to know where you can play to it, and then backfill.
Where you fit in somebody else's story.
You know what I'm really not good at? Connecting a bunch of softwares together and answering immediately and like sending out a work order the second that somebody comes in and lets me. So I can use tools for that. Bookkeeping. What's so funny is I'm not a good bookkeeper.
Yeah.
APM Help is the company that I represent for the large part, because they are incredible at that. They are the benchmark for that.
Yeah.
And that is not what most property managers are. As a matter of fact, most property managers aren't good at that. Some of them are. Actually, some of my very favorite clients are like have accounting degrees, and they're like, yeah, it's hard to do property management. I need to focus way less on that.
Yeah.
to do this character that I care about, to do this vision that is the story of my property management company. The story of it isn't how good we are at accounting, it isn't how good I am at accounting, but that's a regulated part of my business. So somebody's got to do it and do it perfect. Hey, me, I got you. Not Jonathan, my entire team of like real experts.
Yeah, 100%.
And so it gives you the ability when you can offload maintenance, when you can offload answering the phones, when you can offload triage and putting in your meld tickets, and when you can offload, I mean, even screening applicants, whatever it is that isn't your, I'm the best at this. The moment that you're not the best at it, go find somebody that is and put them in that position. And then you go and tell your story. You drive your story and you get believers, true believers, driving along with you. You're unstoppable, entirely so.
I think that's where we end this, man. Like, I think this has been
I tried to give you an exclamation point there.
That was gorgeous, man. I'll tell you, it is very clear the moment that I got to speak to you,
Thanks, man.
that you are a true believer in your story and the story, and your story is one of serving a greater story.
Yeah.
Which I think is really the best way to show up. And it's something that I really, really resonate with, man. And I'm really grateful that we had that moment at Florida State NARPM that now leads to like a whole bunch of stories that we're going to be a part of, man. And
The night of the
I appreciate you,
gastropub.
man. I really appreciate you.
Absolute pleasure.